Hi, it's Mary, and I hope that you are doing well. Welcome back for another book video. So because we are coming up to the end of the year, I decided to do a year-end reading wrap-up. So I'm going to choose and rate the top 5 books of the books I read for book reviews. Books eligible for this ranking are the featured titles in the book reviews, and because it seemed unfair to rate a classic compared to a more recent release, none of the older books were eligible for this ranking. These are the titles that I have read and reviewed, and I chose my top 2 titles for each month. These are my top 2 titles for each of the months, and from these I chose my top 5 books. So let's find out what they are. I rank them from number 5 to number 1, with 1 being my top book. So at number 5 is The Companion by Katie Allender. This is contemporary suspense. If you remember, I read multiple suspense books in December. I very much like the characters in this book. I also like that they had to work through obstacles to become friends. One of the characters doesn't speak or move, but they were able to work together to figure out a way to communicate and become friends. They didn't just accept what the situation appeared to be. While the villain might be obvious, the resolution was satisfying. At number 4 is The Silvered Serpents, and it's actually checked out right now, so I just have a copy of the front of it. And I should say here that I tend to read and appreciate fantasy books. This is a fantasy book. I found the story interesting and well told. The characters are trying to relearn to work together and trust one another after a tragedy has occurred. It kept my interest, and the characters are well developed. At number 3 is The Cat I Never Named. This was my most viewed of my book reviews, and I appreciate a book that transports me to another time and place and helps me understand historical and cultural events. This is a nonfiction story that takes place in the war in Bosnia-Herzegovina in 1992. And it is told from the perspective of a teenage girl who lived through the event. And it helps me to understand the war and gave me insight into the experiences she had while living that situation. It also helped me to reestablish my desire to work against injustices. And number 2 is Incendiary. This is an engaging story told through the eyes of reformed memory thief Renata. She was kidnapped and used as a tool of the royal court. After her rescue by the Whisperers, she builds barriers to the memories of her past. As the story progresses, it becomes necessary for Renata to remove those barriers and remember. Renata's past is revealed to us throughout the story. The revelations late in the story that all was not as she thought was masterful. On to my favorites of all of the books I've read since September as part of my book reviews. And this one is also currently checked out, and it is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. Taking the story of the Mozart we know, Wolfgang, and reestablishing the story of his sister, Nannerl, who I dare say many of us did not know, was brilliant. Tying together historical fact and fantastical elements results in a story that is pure genius. That is why The Kingdom of Back was my favorite of all of the books that I read for my book review series. I'll return in January with the books that I will be reading in January. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing our love of books. Until then, I hope that you enjoy whatever you read. And thank you.